Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be picking up on NoDirectionHome. We did part A, B, and C. You're not going to see part A here because we recorded it live. I messed up the recording and now I'm going to have to rewatch it, which I will because why not? But we're going to start with part D and then we're going to do E and then we'll just circle back to part A. Cool? Just scooch out of the way and we could just pick up with part D. I had a lot of fun watching this. There are a lot of things that I learned just about like his presence. In part B, I learned about like all the places he'd been. And then I think I learned the same thing in part C too. It was really interesting. All right, patch day it is. Let's go. Oh, let me unmute.
Through the mad mystic hammering of the wild ripping hail, the sky cracked its palms in naked wonder at the clanging of the church bells blew far into the night, leaving only bells of lightning and its thunder. Striking for the gentle, striking for the kind, striking for the guardians and protectors of the mind, and the poet and the painter who lights up his rightful time. And we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing.
Bob had a concert at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium where he told everybody how he and Neuwirth and them had traveled across the country, and he sang Chimes of Freedom.
Am I tripping or did he freestyle parts of Chimes of Freedom? Chimes of Freedom. Or do I just not remember? Lyrics. Bruh. I guess I forgot parts of the lyrics. Man, pull it back. Let's see. Shame on me.
Through the mad mystic hammering of the wild ripping hail, the sky cracked its palms in naked wonder at the clanging of the church bells blew far into the night, leaving only bells of lightning and its thunder.
It's just like the studio version sounds so different to me.
I gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing, guardians and protectors of the mind, and the poet and the painter far behind his rightful time. And we gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing. In the wild cathedral evening, the rain unraveled tales.
That's such a beautiful song. Wow. Forgive me. I just had to go compare and like look at the lyrics because the live version, his live performance definitely makes it sound a little different to my ear, to the point where I was wondering if the words were different.
And it's thunder, striking for the gentle, striking for the kind, striking for the guardians and protectors of the mind, and the poet and the painter who lights up his rightful time. And and we
Nice
gazed
smile.
upon the chimes of freedom flashing.
Bob had a concert at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium where he told everybody how he and Neuwirth and them had traveled across the country, and he sang Chimes of Freedom Flashing, and it was incredible. After the concert, all of a sudden we found ourselves trapped. There was a press of people outside. We made it into the station wagon, and then all the people came rushing over to the station wagon, and we slowly started to move the station wagon out, and I turned around and saw there was an amp and his guitars and their suitcases in the back with a little tarp over it, and I saw the tarp moving. 2 young girls stowed away under the tarp. So we had to stop and gently eject them. And of course, then all the people were pressing around.
That was crazy.
All of a sudden, he had become an idol.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of people wanting more from him, you know, as if just the songs weren't enough.
Everybody wanted to sleep with Bobby, to get high with Bobby. The reverence was for Bobby, but it was also for what he had created, and everybody wanted to get close to it. The desire to be next to him produced a huge magnet, which drew everybody, young and old.
Genius makes its own rules, and Dylan is a genius, a singing conscience, and moral referee, as well as a preacher.
He came to be as he is because things needed saying, and the young people were the ones who wanted to say them. He somehow had an ear on his generation. I don't have to tell you, you know him, he's yours, Bob Dylan.
I ain't looking to compete with you, beat or cheat or mistreat you, simplify you, classify you, deny, defy, or crucify you. All I really want to do is, baby, be friends with you.
Bob Dylan has such a beautiful face. I couldn't get over his face here. One of my friends said, I'm gonna look it up and tell you who said it, but they're like, if you think Bob Dylan is beautiful, then there's luck, then the rest of us are in luck, or something like that. That was so funny. Look at that. His face there is so, like, did they call that like androgynous? Because he looks like he could be a girl too. His beautiful face. I love the song. I'm so sorry. I ain't no Bob Dylan.
Defy or crucify you. All I really want to do is, baby, be friends with you.
I want to say thank you. I love you.
But it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby, if you don't know by now.
Johnny Cash was more like a religious figure to me. And there he was at Newport, you know, standing side by side. Meeting him was a high thrill of a lifetime. And just the fact that he had sung one of my songs was it was unthinkable.
Johnny Cash and June Carter came by. After Bob had put a couple 3 tunes on tape for him, this little portable machine, Johnny called him out in the hall, and Bob came back in a few minutes later, and he was holding his guitar, and he gave me his guitar. Neuwirth was saying, wow, that's an old country tradition, and somebody gives you a guitar, that's a big honor, you know.
When Bob began to ignore topical material, it bothered me, because he wrote such marvelous material. You know, and suddenly to stop that meant that he was going away from a political consciousness that we we felt we all had. One can attribute that as going commercial. He's getting away from this.
No.
And that bothered us.
Let me forget about today until tomorrow.
An artist has got to be careful, never really.
I just want to say that, you know, I think like two questions came to my mind in terms of like his modesty when they were kind of just, you know, going crazy about like, you know, he was a celebrity, everybody wanted to be near him, wanted to like have his ear and kind of, I guess, get some of that Bob Dylan on them. That's funny. That's a funny statement. Funny phrase. Get some Bob Dylan on me. Anyways, you know, I wonder how he felt about that. Like, did he feel like, why is there all this fuss? Of course, I know he said that when he was writing, it was like, you know, he was doing something nobody's ever done. So he was very much aware of his talent. But how did he feel about this attention? Even with them calling him a genius, he was like laughing about that. So I find that to be pretty interesting. You know, I understand why this gentleman would be bothered, but it's totally within his right to chart his own path and be himself. And I don't think the concern should have ever been that he was going commercial. I feel like what is very apparent to me from just a few albums is that Bob Dylan is very much himself. He is not interested in being anybody's little toy. And so, you know, it's just interesting to see how people received him as things were unfolding, because I have no such concern. You know, even on another side of Bob Dylan, it was all there. Bringing it all back home, he was still doing a lot of these things that he did in the beginning. And so he was just like, I feel, you know, coming into himself and being himself. And it's a beautiful thing to witness, even though I'm doing this, you know, in the future. It's really beautiful. Let's keep on going. So good.
Big honor. You know.
When Bob began to ignore topical material, it bothered me.
And he didn't ignore it.
He wrote such marvelous material, you know. And suddenly to stop that meant that he was going away from a political...
And I don't feel like he was like ignoring it. It was very much in his... You can't like set aside that which truly concerns you because it was present in the other albums, right? So you can't set that aside. But if you are being forced, or not necessarily being forced, nobody was forcing him, but if the expectation and the standard is for your music that you're always going to be writing this, then that I think is where the risk is, you know. Just like my friend Steve said to me, like when I first started this channel, Steve was like, oh, don't let it become a routine. And I believe that's really excellent advice. You don't want things to become a routine. You don't want to write these topical songs as if they're a routine, because then you're in trouble. Then that's when you're becoming commercial. You see what I'm saying? That's the risk. The risks.
The consciousness that we felt we all had. One can attribute that as going commercial. He's getting away from this. And that bothered us.
Let me forget about today until tomorrow.
An artist has got to be careful never really to arrive at a place where he thinks he's at somewhere. You always have to realize that you're constantly in the state of becoming, you know, and as long as you can stay in that realm, you'll sort of be all right. I can't self-analyze my own work, and I wasn't going to cater to the crowd because I knew certain people would like it and certain people didn't like it. I mean, I got in the door when no one was looking. I was in there now, and there was nothing anybody from then on could ever do about it.
There's a time.
He did say it. You can please some of the people sometime, but you can't please all the people all the time. He said that.
Constantly in the state of becoming, you know, and
That's such good
as long as you
advice.
can stay in that realm, you'll sort of be all right. I can't self-analyze my own work, and I wasn't going to cater to the crowd because I knew certain people would like it and certain people didn't like it. I mean, I got in the door when no one was looking. I was in there now, and there was nothing anybody from then on could ever do about it.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
The police have got Mario away. They have pulled him away from the scene. The police have pulled Mario away from the scene.
All of us felt that those folks before didn't get it. We were surrounded by people who were insensitive to the need for change. And that's why Peter Palmieri and Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, all of whom were about the same age, were put in positions of leadership because there was an identification amongst the college students.
I felt it all over America. You know, wherever in America you went, you felt that things were happening in an Olympian type of way, which children were beyond their parents' command.
He tried to exercise free speech.
Sometime around that period of time, I was painting in Berkeley. And the phone rang. I think this was 1964. The phone rang. It was Bob, and he said, I have to do these shows. You want to come? I said, well, I'm painting pictures. He said, I'll buy you a leather jacket. And he said, all the paint you need. The next thing I knew, you know, I got on a plane and I flew to New York. In those days, artistic success was not dollar-driven. It was, you know, those were simpler times. If you had something to say, which was basically the way people were rated. You know, they'd say, have you seen Ornette Coleman? Does he have anything to say? And it was the same with Bob or anybody else. You know, did they have anything to say or not?
He not busy being born, is busy dying.
Nobody heard anything like this before. No one had heard anything like this before. There was a word of mouth. And by the way, a crowd of 1,200 people isn't that big a crowd if you stop and think about it. That's about how many people are waiting for the D train at the Sheridan Square right now.
But even the President of the United States sometimes must have to stand naked.
Ooh.
What struck me was that he was at one, or he became identical with his breath. And Dylan had become a column of air, so to speak, at certain moments, where his total physical and mental focus was this single breath coming out of his body. He had found a way in public to be almost like a shaman, with all of his intelligence and consciousness focused on his breath.
So don't fear if you hear a foreign sound to your ear. It's all right, Ma. I'm only sighing.
Incredible. That was so fun. Wow. Hold on. Let me see where I'm at. Oh. This guy is so interesting in the way he speaks and the way he delivers ideas. What did he say? Did he have, does he have something to say? You know, what's interesting is I feel like a lot of people are still rated on do they have something to say or not. But I feel like, and hear me out, I've said this before, but you know, I do feel like we are like having some sort of like algorithmic life experience. So we're going through the world and we're being fed certain things, and like they'll make you think that this is reality, but it's not. You know, the fact that we're kind of like all communing here and like talking and having these conversations about these musicians, I think reveals to me that we still want to say something and we still want to communicate with each other. Like we want to say things and we want to see change, but like we're being served with ads nonstop. It's not just like ads like on, you know, your devices. It's like in the food you eat. So when you go on the street, it's the same thing. With how people are dressing, it's the same thing. In the music, it's the same thing. It's just like they're trying to drown us out, but we've got to shout, we've got to speak up, because we still have something to say and want to listen to people who have something to say. This was fun. I'm going to jump into part 2. You're going to see part 2 maybe tomorrow. Okay, if you don't see it today, you'll see it tomorrow. But I'm gonna go watch part 2 because this is fun. Damn, this is so good. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch part 1 again for you guys, and then we're gonna watch Don't Look Back. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one. If you're still here with me, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you. This thing. And I'll see you. I don't know if you heard it, but it was so loud in my ear. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.